awareness of this new asset class spreads, we believe that the value in the underlying of the digital assets will grow. And that's something that we would like to provide to our clients in the safest way possible.
The fact that it's not controlled by any one person, government, organization, limited supply. We know what the supply curve is.
Olá a todos, bem-vindos a mais um episódio do Mind Asset. Meu nome é Malu Moradi, eu trabalho aqui na equipe de comunicação da Itaú Asset. Na conversa de hoje, a gente vai explorar como os ETFs podem te dar acesso ao mundo de criptoativos. Para isso, a gente convidou aqui para o bate-papo o Alexandre Frade, gestor de estratégias beta na Itaú Asset, o Luís Kondic, diretor executivo de produtos na B3, e o Paul Capelli, portfólio manager na Galaxy Asset Management, que está baseado em Nova York. Dado o nosso convidado internacional, essa conversa foi em inglês. Pessoal, esse episódio marca o encerramento da nossa segunda Semana de ETFs, uma iniciativa nossa aqui da Itaú Asset para deixar você por dentro de tudo o que está acontecendo no mercado de ETFs, um produto que não para de crescer aqui no Brasil e atrair cada vez mais investidores. A gente vai deixar aqui na descrição do episódio um link para vocês acessarem todas as ações que a gente fez ao longo dessa semana. Espero que vocês gostem do bate-papo. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Paul, Luís, Frade, we're very excited to have you here today as experts on the ETFs and cryptocurrency arena for this special episode of our podcast. Well, the reason for our talk today is our new ETF, BT11, that, forgive me everyone, I can't say it in English, so I'm going to say it with our Portuguese accent, which Itaú Asset has launched in November and is our first product that gives exposure to Bitcoin. The idea of our discussion is to understand more about ETFs linked to cryptocurrency and how these ETFs work in the ecosystem of ETFs in Brazil and how investors might benefit with them. Frade, as portfolio manager of ETFs, I'd like to start with you. Why has Itaú Asset decided to include a product offering exposure to cryptocurrency on our product portfolio?
Okay, thanks for having me here, Malu. Let's try to share with our clients our ideas here. So as we have been discussing throughout the years and several other products that we have, our idea here in the Better Strategies team is to have a very broad platform where we can offer to our clients access to different investments, theses, and asset classes. The idea is to simplify things so investors can have a very diversified portfolio that helps them reach their goals without necessarily needing to be experts on every single asset class that they invest. The idea here, what we see in digital assets, is more a continuation of that. So we had equity ETFs, we had fixed income, we have international exposures, we have funds that offer exposure to commodities, for example, to currencies. In this digital asset space is another layer, another step that we are kind of moving in the direction of helping our clients meet their needs. Okay, we see digital assets as an investment opportunity in a technology that is still in its earlier stage and an asset class that from a market standpoint is still in these earliest developments. Okay, we see a healthy backdrop for long-term growth and alpha generation. And we believe that the digital asset ecosystem provides investors a new alternative investment on the risk and return spectrum that can be very useful to diversify portfolio performance. Okay, so what moved us now? So why haven't we launched anything before? So we have been working a lot to partner with the right team and the right guys. That's the reason why we reached out to Galaxy and started discussions to having this partnership. We think that improved infrastructure, clear regulation, and growing institutional adoption suggests that the whole digital asset class is maturing. So as the awareness of this new asset class spreads, we believe that the value in the underlying of the digital assets will grow. And that's something that we would like to provide to our clients in the safest way possible. So here's not about why doing this way or another way. Here's about being very democratic and providing access to all types of clients to be able to invest without necessarily needing to be very sophisticated in the way that they do that. So again, the Better Strategies aims to provide access to all kinds of investors and not only the professional ones. So regarding to Bitcoin specifically, we believe that this very confused market environment with a lot of uncertainty, the predictability of the supply and the limitations on the issuance can help investors to position themselves to future growth. Okay, we see again this asset class as an important tool to diversification. And at the end of the day, that's what we try to provide our clients, right?
Perfect. And I think it's great that you addressed the issue of timing, because that's one of the questions that we have received a lot from investors is why now? Why are we now entering this arena? So it's great that you mentioned that. And Paul, my next question is for you. I think as Frade mentioned, one of the very exciting aspects of BT11 is that we have formed a partnership with Galaxy. Can you detail a little bit more what is Galaxy's role in this project?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here today. It's nice to finally be back in New York after our trip to Brazil last week, and really it was great meeting the team. But a little bit about Galaxy. We are a digital investment bank. We have a trading business. We have an investment banking business. We do principal investments off of our balance sheet. We have a business that's truly unique to the digital asset space in our mining business. And then we have our asset management business. But across all, and that's where I sit, across all of our businesses, we really strive to bring an institutional knowledge and institutional grade products, to this asset class, right? This is an asset class that is fairly nascent. It's fairly new. And our role here is really to do a few things. One, it's to make sure the product is working and it's functioning as it needs to as a sub-advisor. We handle the trading, we handle settlement, we handle dealing with the custodians and the various different partners that we have within the digital asset ecosystem. But really, in an asset class that I think has been in the news a lot and a lot of people feel the needs to grow up, is we are here to, be the adults in the room on the digital asset side, right? And make sure that we are bringing the same fiduciary integrity that investors are really seeing across asset classes, right? And making sure that investors feel comfortable and they have the ability to partner with, not only Galaxy, but Itaú, which is a leader in the Brazil market and the South American region, to be able to get access to the growth that digital assets, the growth phase that digital assets are in right now, right? So, from our perspective, we are doing everything that we can every day to make sure that the product is functioning as it can, right? But also making sure that we're bringing that institutional knowledge and that institutional grade that investors have come to expect, and having a partnership between Galaxy and Itaú, I think really just it does that, right? It puts all the necessary, bells and whistles around the product, so to say.
I love the metaphor that you Galaxy is the auto in the room, bringing a lot of knowledge to this. I think it's very interesting to picture that way. Luís, and bringing it to the Brazilian market, we have been seeing Brazilian investors increasingly interested in ETFs with booming numbers in recent years. As a director at B3 or exchange, what have you been observing with market dynamics, product offerings, and also investor preferences overall?
We're very happy at B3 of having Itaú Asset's listing BT11, BT11 at B3. With this new ETF, we reach 88 ETFs listed and trading at B3 now. 66 of them linked to fixed equities, 8 to fixed income. And with these, 13 linked to the price of crypto assets. We have in ETFs linked to crypto assets, we have almost 2 billion reais in assets under management in the ETFs listed at B3, around $400 million, with more than 200,000 retail investors, individual investors in these ETFs, and 90,000 new retail investors only in 2022, highlighting the interest that we see from retail investors in this asset class. In the investor breakdown, in the negotiation volumes, we have 33% participation from retail investors, 48% from foreigners, and 19% of institutional investors. When we look at the assets under management or volumes in custody, 68% from retail investors, 28% institutional investors, and 4% from foreign investors. In terms of different assets under the crypto ETFs, we have ETFs listed focused on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, on baskets of crypto with different investment themes like metaverse or DeFi. So we see crypto evolving as really being consolidated into a new asset class that started with retail individual investors. But we see more interest and growth in volumes also being traded by institutional investors in the product. So we see good growth, and we're very happy to receive BT11 listed at B3.
Yeah, it's really incredible to see the interest in this new asset class, and seeing especially retail investors so interested in this arena. But we have been receiving a lot of questions on social media from our followers, Frade, asking what is the difference between investing in an ETF versus investing directly in a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. Can you explain a little bit about what is the difference?
Sure. So again, what we're trying to do here is providing the client a pattern or a way to access the investments that is both simple, secure, and also cost effective. Right. So when we are talking about using ETFs, instead of investing directly, we are thinking about accessing liquidity across premier over-the-counter counterparties. We are talking about better security than trading on centralized exchanges, getting access to best execution policies, more favorable execution pricing, and Bloomberg price feeding. When you are talking about investing directly, you need to think that you are primarily limited to trading on exchange. The fees can be potentially very significant on both the entry and the exit points of a trade, depending on the size and the market, right? So you're basically talking about needing to have a lot more resources, a lot more professional interpretation of what's going on than buying an ETF and trusting that Itaú and Galaxy have worked to provide all the security and all the efficiency directly to the client. Our idea here is to help the client think about the allocation and let us worry about all the other details. Okay, so when we talk about operational ease, what we are talking is partnering with trusted sources, and also as a bigger client. So Galaxy trades a lot more volume with a lot more counterparties. They have superior rates when they are trading. So we really think that over time, it makes a huge difference for the clients, right? One aspect that has been a lot discussed here, and I think that the ETF and the partnership between Itaú and Galaxy also brings to the table, is in terms of security, right? So custody. So we have access to institutional grade custodians. We are talking about cold storage. Okay, so we have quality physical and cybersecurity covered here. When you're talking about investing directly, you usually need to have some self-custody technical expertise to manage your positions in-house, and you end up paying higher custodian fees. So again, we want to facilitate the access, we want to have more security, and we want to have lower costs. At the end of the day, another aspect that we think is relevant is investing through the ETFs makes a lot easier to have access to the audited financial statements of the fund, tax reporting, investing directly here in Brazil, so an instrument traded in B3 with a clear regulation and tax already being calculated and easier to report. You have access to periodic NAV and all the same standards that we already provide to ETFs in other asset classes. Okay, so again, the idea is simplify, make it easy, make it cheaper, and make it more secure to the clients at the end of the day.
Perfect. I wrote those down. So price, expertise, security, and also just more simplicity overall, and while negotiating with crypto ETFs and BTOs in particular. Paul, I think you mentioned this very briefly, that Bitcoin cryptocurrencies have been very much on the news lately. There have been a lot of attention to this asset class. But I think it's important to mention to our listeners that not all cryptocurrencies and exchanges, for instance, are the same. Can you give an overview of these key concepts and also what every investor should have in mind before adding cryptocurrencies to their portfolio? I think that's important for them to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a great segue after what Alexander just mentioned, right? When you think about when you're buying digital assets, you have to think about what are you getting, right? You're getting an investment in technology, you're getting an investment in growth, you're getting investment in a new asset class. In some ways with Bitcoin, right? You're getting investment in a new piece of the financial system. As you think about, it's the fact that it's not controlled by any one person, government, organization, limited supply. We know what the supply curve is, and we kind of understand how that issuance is going to continue to work over time and how it will be deflationary in a portfolio, right? After everything that has happened and what you're hearing in the news and, the different protocols that exist in crypto, that's all still true, right? What has happened recently has not really had anything to do with the premise of crypto and digital assets themselves, right? This is still a new asset class. It is still growing. We're still seeing incredible investments in it, right? This wasn't an issue with crypto. This was an issue with a bad actor who chose to operate within the crypto and digital asset space, right? So, and if anybody's really wondering who we're talking about SBF and FTX and all of the things that have been associated now recently with the collapse of that one exchange, right? There are still a lot of great companies and incredible actors that are doing things in the digital asset space incredibly above board, as if they were strongly regulated, right? This was a bit of a failure of regulation here. So, the premise of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital asset protocols is still as strong as it ever was and has been, but it's certainly suffering from the news about what has happened regarding the FTX exchange over the last week within the space, right? One of the areas that this is virtually likened to certainly is Enron, right? Enron was a bad actor within the energy space, right? But the energy space still exists today. It has grown incredibly since that time. And once the Enron mess was cleaned up, they continued to move forward. That is something that we certainly expect with digital assets, right? Whether you're in Bitcoin, you're in Web3, the metaverse, the creator economy, all of those areas of the asset class still continue to grow.
Perfect. I think that's important for people to understand. I think obviously it has been very much on the news lately, but there are nuances that are important to highlight. As you mentioned, bad actors can happen in all the industries, and this is an example of this. And also why we took our time here at Itaú and made sure that we had a strong partner, international partner on this market. To really give this expertise and security to our investors. That was always very important to us. Moving towards the end of our podcast, but Luís, I have a question for you, which is what are some of the possibilities that investing in crypto through ETFs in Brazil can offer? I know it's not exactly the same as in other asset classes for other types of ETFs, and I think it's important for us to highlight them here.
Yes, very good. So actually what Frade and Paul said also, that BT11 will have the same benefits of the same dynamics of trading other shares and also other ETFs at B3. It's a market that's authorized and regulated by the CVM, Securities Exchange Commission. It's supervised by the self-regulatory body, and it has mechanisms of price protection. And B3 is the central counterparty in the settlement of all ETFs, including crypto ETFs. So investors may have access to crypto asset prices with the safety of the regulated markets at B3 in this type of products. And through this crypto ETF, investors will also have access to the ecosystem of products and services and solutions available at B3. So as of now, these crypto ETFs and BT11 are available for securities lending. We're able to borrow and lend these ETFs and take short positions in the ETFs. And it's under development, the solution of accepting these crypto ETFs as collateral for transacting at B3. And also we're developing options on ETFs. So this should be available soon. Both acceptance as collateral and options on ETFs. They are already available for securities lending and borrowing and taking on short positions. So it's the benefit of having a trade in the regulated market and available to take all the benefits of all other ETFs and shares trading at B3.
Great. So really good to understand all the possibilities, and also that there are new features to come that we obviously will be on our radar here to let our investors know. I want to thank the three of you so much for joining us today. I think we covered a lot of ground and really gave a sense of how it is to invest in ETF in cryptocurrencies with ETFs, and also to detail a little bit more about our new ETF, BT11. Do you all have some closing remarks for us to conclude today?
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll go first here. One thing that I think I want to highlight, given how much digital assets have been in the news, I think, the collapse of FTX, and as we learn more about the details about possible fraud and, misleadings, I want to stress again that was not a problem with crypto. It was a problem with a bad actor within the space. But I think it also highlights just why these products are so important, right? It gives investors the transparency to know who they're investing with, what they're investing in, making sure that a lot of the risk of the infrastructure, digital assets is removed from the process by being able to invest in an ETF and understand that your assets are safe, it's being managed properly by places like Galaxy and Itaú, and that you can invest in this asset class even at an early stage without being subject to some of the bad actors and the risk that still exists out there.
Perfect. Frade, do you have any other comments?
Yeah, just want to say that we want to continue to be partner to our clients and help them navigate and enter the new asset class with as much transparency, security that we can provide. Itaú has a lot of interaction with the clients already. We are able to provide content to help them with questions that they might have. We have local sales team that can represent us in any discussion. So we want to be there for them. We want to help them improve their possibilities of diversification, and we want to make sure that they have the best possible experience.
I think we can end with that. I want to again thank you all so much for joining us today. It's always very exciting to have specialists also outside of Itaú to join us. I want to thank our listeners for listening to our episode today. BT11 is our 21st ETF. You can find more information about it on our website, www.itnow.com.br. And we look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thank you.